Hi guys, welcome back to my Maia Chess Open recaps. I have round 3 for you today, and I was playing an 1830 rated 13-year-old, yet another 13-year-old. There were 3 in a row born in 2011, which seems crazy. So I saw that my opponent actually played e4, so I was very happy. This will be the third e4 game this tournament. I had spent some time prepping against the King's Indian attack because I saw online this is what he plays. And of course he doesn't play the King's Indian attack against me, because why would he play the King's Indian attack against me? Like, I'm a lower rated player, he should just play something random and just take me out of my prep. So this is exactly what he did. He played the normal French, like with d4, and then he played the classical. So like knight c3, which is like still the normal variation, but it's like classical stuff. So main moves here are things like knight to f6, or I can take, this is the Rubinstein, or the winnower, which is what I play with bishop to b4. So this is a pretty scary variation of the French. A lot of people are not keen to play it, but I think that it's one of the most unique openings in my repertoire. I don't really get any opening that feels like this one. I'm not sure there are other openings that feel much like this one. So every now and then it's good to give you a little panic attack at the board, because it's terrifying. And I always feel like my heart is in my throat when I'm playing this opening. After bishop to b4, the main line is pushes, and c5 and a3. So this is all what happened. This is the main line, and I take because you double the pawns. So we give up the bishop pair. In compensation, we get these bad pawn structure here for white. We are not afraid of captures because look at those tripled isolated c-pawns. Not very scary. And here the main line is like knight to e7 and play queen to c7, stuff like this. I play queen to a5. This is a sideline. I've played it before. I think maybe you've seen it in my recaps before. It's fine. Obviously bishop to d2 is natural, and then queen to a4 is the move. So it's a little bit non-standard, because we have moved the queen twice in the opening, haven't developed any pieces, but that's okay. It's going to be okay, I promise. So here, queen to g4. My opponent thought for a long time. As you can see, he thought for over 15 minutes. And this is because his prep did not go beyond move 5. He was confused when I played queen a5 because it is a sideline. And I don't know why people, when they are playing streamers, do not just look at their accounts. Like, we are the easiest people in the world to prepare for, because everything we do is online and publicly available. So he had no reason, really, no excuse to think for 15 minutes here. And he told me afterwards that he just didn't know this. But like I said, he's the one who deviated from my prep, so he should have been better prepped than this. Queen to g4, and now the two main moves are king to f8, which makes me want to throw up, or g6, which is slightly worse, but there is no throwing up involved. So I play g6, and this is fine. It's maybe like plus 0.7, as you can see, but in the winnower, like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, +1 in the winnower is just like how it feels. Like, it's normal. And when I was first looking at the winnower with Irina Crush, she was showing me games played between engines in this line, and like, if Stockfish and Boots and like whatever, all the engines can play this and have solid games against each other, then I think I can play this against an 1800. We are not grandmasters. So g6, and yes, you might be thinking, Lily, I've got a lot of pawns on light squares and you have traded off your dark squared bishop. You're going to have horrible dark squared weaknesses. Actually, it's normally fine. In this game, I did have horrible dark squared weaknesses because I made a horrible judgment call. But normally it's actually okay. You get like f5 or whatever, and it's not actually a big deal. And the reason that these things are not actually that scary is because pretty much always white plays some horrible move, like rook a2. And when I say horrible, I mean just like completely unnecessary. Like, I'm not taking this pawn. I've moved my queen twice already. I should not take that pawn right now. So he can just develop. Like, he could have just played h4 or something normal, but he plays rook a2 to defend his pawn. Okay, and this is why the winnower is so confusing, because like, nobody knows how to play it. Nobody knows what they're doing. This is one of the reasons I like to play it, because actually when I've played it against children, they always misunderstand the position. Again, rook a2, not very necessary, but it allows me to just develop normally. So knight to c6, I'm putting pressure on the center, knight to f3, he is defending the center, and bishop to d7. So this is normal development. And actually, here it is black's plan to castle long. This is not something that people expect if they have never seen this line before. I have a lot of friends who play chess, And whenever they see my game, like in the winnower, they are like, what are you doing? Like, what on earth is that? Why are you putting your king by this semi-open b file? Surely you just get checkmated. But actually, I don't really understand chess either, because this isn't actually that scary. It should be scary, but it's not actually that scary. We can just like play b6 or knight d8, and b7 is not that big of a weakness. After bishop to e2, long castles, castles. So this is all very normal. Actually, the main deviation we've had so far is that the queen is on g4, because most of my opponents don't play queen to g4. It's definitely a line, but it's not super common, so I wasn't expecting it. Usually very early on in the winnow I play c4. So this is because actually very often they're trying to bring the bishop here with some tactics, like bringing a rook here and bringing the bishop here. And so c4 closes up everything, and it basically makes their light squared bishop bad. Like, ours is bad, but it's a key defender of the king, and this bishop is bad, so they have to find a way to repurpose it. For here, in this game, I did not play c4 because I guess I was having thoughts that I knew better, which I don't, and I played f6. So I played f6 because I thought in this position, if white did something random, we can just trade here, and trade, and then trade queens. And I was okay with this because I will just play something like knight to e7, and I have this long-term weakness to play against, these pawns, which are bad. And of course my opponent does not want to go into this simplification because it's nice for me. Here, after f6, he plays rook to b1, starting to attack. And I actually had overlooked rook to b1, like I looked at it as a very likely move, but I didn't realize it was actually quite good, because I think that now taking here is not good, and I had calculated that that was not good, but I did not calculate that taking here at all was bad. So I played this horrible blunder, knight takes e5. I want to talk a little bit more. I think I should have played c4, or I should have probably played f5. Both of these, I think, if I was not being very silly this day, are moves I would have just played very easily, because I mean, obviously we do not want this bishop to become a good piece, and f5 is a very common idea in the winnow. We want to free our position and attack on the king side. So for whatever reason, I thought, let's go a bit quirky for a change, and I decided to blunder. So I played knight takes e5, and this is bad because, I mean, obviously they can't take with a pawn. We've established this, they hang the queen. So they take with a knight, of course. And then after pawn takes, I was thinking the same thing. If pawn takes, we trade queens, happy. Okay. But I knew they didn't have to take and trade the queens. I just didn't realize that there was like very severe threats to be made in this position if they didn't take. So we are up a pawn, but at what cost? It is like minus, it is +4 or something for white. And he plays best move, queen g5. And I had completely overlooked this move essentially because obviously my knight cannot be developed now without it being taken. And so the threat is queen takes e5, because queen takes e5 is clearly much better than pawn takes. It preserves white's pawn structure from being even worse, and it also comes with a threat on the h8 rook, and it exploits how weak my dark squares are. So yes, I did mess up with the dark squares, but it's not due to g6 or the opening, it's due to the fact that I blundered here. It is move 15 and I am already completely lost. So here I started to become incredibly terrified because I thought if I did some random move, then I basically just get checkmated. And this is forced mate. There is nothing I can do to stop mate on b8, and that's very scary. Here I decided I have to try to preempt that checkmate threat. So I played queen to a5. I want to cover the threat on c7, and then I played knight e7 because I will bring it to c6 to cover the checkmate threat on b8. So these are the two squares I can be mated on, and I'm trying to cover them, which is not something you want to be doing on move 16. But hey ho. Here we are. Of course, my opponent should play bishop to f4, the move that I was expecting. And then something like this, I was actually quite concerned about queen to d6. And here I was worried. But there's a better move. And it just is so nice that you can play this bishop a6 move, which is so totally crazy. Sacrificing the queen, and then bishop takes, king here, bishop takes, I have to give up the queen, and then they don't even take it yet because they just take it for free. So this is a crazy, crazy line. My opponent did not see this. I think no one sees this without being told there is like a puzzle rush in this position. Okay, obviously a grandmaster sees this, but no normal person. When my opponent played the move he played instead, he played bishop to g5. I was like, at first, I was like, oh my gosh, what if he's found something better? And then in my head, I was like, there's no way that was better than bishop f4, you know? And so here I was like, I lose the exchange. Knight is under threat. If I play something like this, then I will simply just lose because the rook is hanging. And same if I'm bringing this is looking very, very bad. I think, okay, bishop a6 is still working. That's insane here. But yeah, I was very convinced here that I was going to lose material. And I was right, clearly. So I played the best move, which is to give up the exchange. So knight to c6 attacking the queen. And now bishop takes d8. And I cannot take the queen because they will take my queen, which means we would have lost a rook. Oh, my bad. That's not what I played, blundering the rook. So I played queen takes bishop, which does not blunder the rook. And yeah, so we did not take the queen, or we would have just simply lost a whole rook, I think. So queen to f4, and I was quite happy because I can finally activate my my rook. And okay, we're down the exchange on move 20, but it's only +2. And what is +2? I was a little bit unhappy, but I was very relieved that I had not been checkmated. And I was still a little bit concerned about my king's safety, so this is why I played c4 here. So now at least this bishop does suck. So the bishop on e2 is a bad piece. My bishop is not great, but if I can activate some of my other pieces, then it might not feel so bad to be down this exchange, because as you can see, white's rooks are actually not that good. After rook a to b2, I play b6, and then he has no attack. As you can see, white starts to shuffle the rooks, and he moves to the other open file, the other semi-open file. So there are two on this board, the B file and the E file. As he is established, there is no real attack right now on the B file. Obviously, we move towards my backwards pawn here on E6, which is very weak. Very weak E5 square if I move my knight. And so this is a big threat of losing this pawn. So here I play H5 because otherwise I figured bishop to G4. He is probably just going to win the pawn somehow. And then he plays F4. I did look at this move, but I didn't really think it was that spectacular. Like, the engine really likes it, but it doesn't seem to do that much. I mean, yes, okay, he is cementing the fact that I have a backwards pawn. Absolutely. But it's more of a long-term move, I suppose. And here we just start to shuffle a little bit. I think in this game, what my coach told me, he was like, as soon as you went down the exchange, you started to play really well. So maybe that's what it takes. Maybe it just takes me being in a completely miserable position to start playing good chess. In this game, I managed to time it much better. It's move 23, we both have 25 minutes. And so I have to make like just over 15 moves before time control. So I wanted to make sure that I was playing quickly because I cannot afford to spend 10 minutes thinking and then have like 1 minute per move. So I was playing a bit quicker, just shuffling, making moves that didn't lose the game, because you can see that my opponent is trying to make use of his rooks, but as these open files are not that available right now, it's quite hard to exploit them. And rooks without open files or semi-open files are quite useless. So I'm shuffling, making very small threats just to make some moves. And I decided to play king to b7. I don't ever want to move my knight away and allow this kind of trade, even though maybe he didn't want it, but I didn't want it either. And then I decided I have a plan. So I played queen back to f7, which, yeah, it looks like I just shuffled my queen for a few moves and did nothing. But I have a plan now. So it's okay, it was worth it. So my plan is that my knight is not really serving a purpose. My bishop is a defender and has nowhere better to go, but my knight is not serving a purpose. So I decided my knight was going to go on a quest. My knight goes through e7, and then he goes all the way to this beautiful square on e4. So now, even though I'm down the exchange, I have the best piece on the board, my knight on e4. And I think I'll fight anybody who tells me this is not the best piece on the board. So yes, my opponent is going for this push. I'm not afraid of it. He is just trying to make time control. He is not really doing anything. And because the center is still closed, I have no real fear for my king. And actually I was very, very proud of this knight maneuver because it kind of nullifies my weakness here on e6. The backwards pawn is only a problem if it cannot be covered somehow. and now it is covered. So it's pretty chill. The backwards pawn is not a problem. And now, okay, a5. And here I almost blundered a piece because I had a minor moment where I thought that c3 was hanging. It's defended by the rook, but I did not blunder the piece. I just played b5. And here I thought that a6 check was coming, but for some reason they didn't go for it. Queen back, and then I can just play a6. And now I am truly very safe here. I have the seagull pawn structure, and my bishop sucks, but my king is never in danger. So pros and cons. There are some plans though. My opponent is still trying to set up tactics. You can see lining up the rook with the king. If I play some kind of random move, then there is bishop takes pawn. This is a pin, and if I take, then the knight is hanging. So my opponent is still trying to kill me as fast as possible. King to a7, stepping out of the tactic, and there is nothing. And then he just has to go back to shuffling rooks. So you can see that my opponent was not having a good time with his extra exchange. My knight is happy. I'm having a great time being down the exchange. Yes, okay, it's plus 1.5, but look at my horse. And then this is the point where I realized that bishop f3 was coming and he was trying to exterminate my horse, which felt very inhumane. Animal cruelty. He was trying to exterminate my horse. I don't want that. So I realized I have to move the horse. And I was like, where can I move the horse to? Because there is a pin here. There is a pin from this pawn to my queen because my queen is undefended. But then I realized knight to d6. And if he takes, knight to f5. I'm attacking the queen, I'm protecting my queen, and I can take the bishop on the next turn. What does my opponent play? Of course, he plays bishop takes to d5. He has less than 10 minutes on the clock and he thinks he is winning material. So I play knight to f5 and he realizes he messed up. Queen here and takes, and now I'm just up 2 pieces for a rook instead of being down the exchange. What can I say? Being down the exchange is a great time. So here I thought maybe he would take, but then I have this. And so I wasn't really sure what was coming, what was happening, maybe bringing the rook or something. But my opponent played this queen check. He used like a lot of his time. He used 2.5 minutes out of 5, and we still have 2 moves before time control. And this was very easy for me because I have 1 legal move. At first I was like, oh my gosh, have I hung mate or something? No. Just king a8 and my king is fine. Now rook to e1, and it's impossible for white to stop me from trading the queens. So I'm going into an endgame where I'm better. After queen to d6, there is really nowhere for the queen to go. Takes, and rook comes in to be active, looking at my pieces. I don't want to blunder that pawn, so I protect and offer a rook trade. He does not want to trade the rooks. I was a bit worried about coming back down here because then the rooks get to be quite happy and connected. I cannot play this knight move because it hangs my rook. So instead of going for this, I played bishop c8. Okay, it's a slight concession for the bishop, but I figured that after rook here, I just get to disconnect his rooks, and then the rooks are not as scary when they're not in a pair. I obviously don't want both rooks coming down to the 7th rank. After bishop to c8, my opponent plays g3. He does not want to let me in and trade pawns. And then knight to e4, and he is just creating some 1-move threats, doing nothing, activating his rook, bringing the king. He is defending his pawn. Now his rook is literally just here to defend his last pawn on the board. And king to d7, and rook to g8. Rook to f6, and everything in the position is defended. So now we are on move 48, we've made time control, and we have an endgame where I'm better, but it is not clear how to win. So it's gone from being plus 1.5 to minus 1.5, but in human terms, I'm not convinced that minus 1.5 is an easy to win endgame. And so when chat was watching this and they had the eval bar on, they were very confused as to why I was not just crushing and speedrunning winning this ending. This is not a risk-free ending, as we can see. After this, I can never ever leave control over a6, and if I am careless, then this a pawn will run. So I have to be very careful. My bishop still sucks, even though I have 2 pieces for the exchange, 2 pieces for the rook. And it is not very simple to convert this ending. So I played king e6, which is actually not correct. I wanted to activate the king. Was not the right thing to do. Apparently my king should stay over here, around here or something. Was not very natural to me. Also, I think there was a move here where it really wanted me to play something like king d8 and just allow my king to be cut off, which I felt was incredibly unintuitive for anyone who has ever studied endgames or chess. You don't want to allow your king to just be cut off. So there were lots of things in this ending that I didn't understand. It's definitely not a simple endgame. So king to e6, we shuffle a bit and I offer a rook trade, because obviously if they take, I'm very confident now that this is a pretty risk-free ending because there is no active rook in my territory threatening my pawns. This is much simpler to play, and I had deliberately not opened any more files because I have the 2 pieces against the rook, and for the rook he wants an open file. So this looks a lot better. But of course my opponent is not 500 elo, he is not going to trade the rooks here, so he plays rook to a8, defending, attacking the bishop, and here played rook to f8, which apparently is not the right way to go, and I'm supposed to play like bishop or king here or something else. But it's not clear how to win this, because this is not great, I don't think. Yeah, look, I blunder my entire advantage. And so I have to play some king move back, and then I allow checks, and I don't really understand this ending. So there were some very strong players in my chat saying that they did not see how to win, and honestly I don't really see how to win either. It's feeling a bit stockfishy to me. And so we repeated once here, and then I offered a draw after this repetition. And my opponent said he wanted to think about it, and then he decided to take the draw. And when we shook hands, chat thought that he had resigned. And that just is so crazy to me, because you don't resign in this position. You make your opponent prove that they can win it. And I think that the draw here is not insane. It is not a risk-free endgame, and I only have 11 minutes. We've already made time control. I'm not getting extra time. And so I was quite happy with this result if we consider the fact that I was almost mated on move 15. Do you guys remember that? So considering the fact that we had this position earlier in the game, I think that a draw was a good result. I think I actually started to play very, very well in the middle game. I managed to not let being down the exchange kill my motivation to play and to try to win. And yeah, I was actually very happy with this game, even though I made a blunder. So of course I made bad judgment call in the opening, and I will stop trying to do crazy things. Just play moves like c4 instead of crazy weird stuff. And another successful game with the winner, guys. So yeah, my opponent was playing against a 2100 yesterday, and he drew him. So I felt very good about this draw after seeing that my opponent had also drawn a 2100. So this was a nice result for me. This is like my third 18 something that I've drawn this year, which means I'm getting very close to beating them. As long as I don't hang mate in 3. And it makes me feel a little bit more confident, but it did mean that in round 4 I got a much harder pairing. So I actually need to go film my round 4 recap now, because I played round 4 yesterday. Like I said, we're a bit behind on recaps, and I will let you know how round 4 goes. I will see you in the next video. If you like this, please leave a comment and like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next recap. So bye guys.